Hi everyone, so today I'm doing a Halloween inspired art journal page, and I've got my large size art journal here in front of me, and this is a journal by Ranger, and I wanted a large size because I want to get quite a lot of detail on this journal page. So to begin with, I'm going to be using Art Basics Heavy Gesso in white and a silicone spreader brush from Finnavar, and I'm going to give both of the pages a good coat of gesso. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, now those pages are dry, is use some Tim Holtz Ideology tissue paper, and this is in the style Composer. It's just full of music notes, as we can see. I'm just going to tear some of that off and rip it into little sections and stick it in random places around the page just to add a bit of interest. So now that those pieces are dry, I'm just going to go very lightly back over those with the white gesso. Okay, so now I'm going to start adding some colour to build up the background, and to do that I'm going to be using lots of sprays from Lindy's Stamp Gang. I'm going to be working sort of darker on the outer edges and corners and then making it lighter to give it a sort of glow towards the middle. So all of the sprays that I use I will link in the description box below. And we're going to start off with a dark brown going all the way around the edges. So now that all that's dry, you can see how well all the colours have blended together, and we've got darker areas and lighter areas, and it's got a really nice effect to it. So now what I'm going to do is just darken up the edges using Tim Holtz Distressed Crayon, and that's in Walnut Stain. So you can just apply this and then rub it straight in with your finger, and it gives a lovely look. Now these are also water soluble, and they work just like the other distress products, so you can mix them with water to get some really interesting effects. I like doing it this way with my finger. And as you can see, it just blends really well into the background we've already created. Okay, so next I'm going to do a bit of background stamping using these two sets from Tim Holtz and a black StazOn ink pad. And I'm also going to use these stamps, which are all different kinds of grasses, borders along the bottom of the page, and I'm going to use this one here. I had these stamps from Amazon, and unfortunately there's no name on them, so I'm not sure where they're from. Okay, so I've put my journal aside for now, and I've got a piece of bleed-proof paper here, and I'm going to be using another two sets of stamps from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to stamp some images onto the paper and then cut the shapes out so that I can create a scene on the journal page. Right, so now that I've got all my stamped images, I'm going to go and cut those out just using some scissors. So now that my hand is absolutely killing from cutting all those pieces out, I have cut them out and I've decided where I want them and position them. So, but I'm not happy with the tree that we stamped earlier, so I'm going to redo the tree, and I'm going to use a stencil from the Crafters Workshop and some black modelling paste from Deco Art. So I'm just not very happy with that. It doesn't show up as well as I would have liked, but the texture paste will give us a nice lot of texture, so we can still retain the spider that was there, because I did like him. And we can just, so I'm just going to take a bit of the black modelling paste on a palette knife and smooth it over the stencil. Now, black modelling paste for some reason is a lot thicker. Oh, let's hope that's okay. A lot thicker, and it's a little bit harder to work with than white modelling paste. I don't know why that is, but that's what I've found so far. I mean, it does give a really nice finish, but I do find it slightly harder to work with. And I hope where that stencil lifted up that it hasn't left a nasty mark. We'll see. Just make sure everywhere's covered. And off we go. Oh, and that's worked out lovely. So you can see that's a lot more prominent than the stamped image was, but because you've still got the stamped image in the background, it still looks kind of nice. So while that tree's just drying off, I'm going to go and colour in my images, and I'm going to do that using Copic pens, Copic sketch markers. And these markers are alcohol based, and they have a brush tip, and they also have a chisel tip end. And I'm going to use the brush tip, and I'm just going to go and start colouring over my images. Okay, so now that I've got all of my pieces coloured in, I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. And again, I'm going to be using the soft matte gel from Prima. Now, if you do want me to do a tutorial just on how I colour using Copic markers, then I'll do that for you on another video. So, but for now, let's go on and get these stuck down. So I'm just going to be brushing it on with a brush, same as before, and get them in place. So now I'm going to go around and add some shading around each of my elements using the distress crayons again, and I'm going to blend those in just using a Q-tip. Simple as that. Okay, so now I'm going to add some wording, and for that I'm going to use a Halloween chipboard from Blue Fern Studios. I did try and add some wording earlier, and I was using acrylic paint and a stencil. and the acrylic paint was really watery and it seeped and it made a bit of a mess everywhere, because we're only human and we all make mistakes. So I was hoping that the chipboard is going to sit, yes, and cover that mess up nicely. So to colour the chipboard, I'm going to use this embossing powder, and this is Black Sparkle and this is from Ranger. So I'm going to cover my chipboard first, with a Versamark ink pad. Give it a really good sticky coat. Make sure it's fully covered. Right, and now I'll just go ahead and sprinkle over the embossing powder. Tap off the excess. And then I'm just going to heat that up with my heat gun. So now I'm going to glue my word on using some Tombow Mono liquid glue. And I'm just following the contours of the letters. So I'm going to go back in with the Distress crayon now and just add some shading underneath the letters. I also want the edges of the page slightly darker again, so I'm going to use the black this time. I used the brown to go around before. I'm going to use the black this time and just really darken up those edges. Give it a more moody, atmospheric look. And there we go. And so that is my Halloween journal spread. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, then please give it a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.